Good evening. We have two meetings tonight. We have a special meeting of the Urbana City Council, which will be followed by the regular meeting of the Committee of the Whole, which will be chaired by Eric Jacobson. I'd like to call the special meeting of the Urbana City Council to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Ammons?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Jacobson?
Here.
Mr. Madigan?
Here.
Ms. Marlin?
Here.
Mr. Roberts? Mr. Smythe? Mayor Pressing.
Here. First, is there anyone who would like to address the Urbana City Council? Okay. We have one item, and that is a resolution number 2014-09-049R, a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees of the AFL-CIO Council 31, Local 1331. And this is for July 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2016. So what we're doing is, this is one of groups of employees that we're negotiating with. We also have the firefighters and the police, and we also traditionally give the same percentages to the non-bargaining units. And to answer the question of how much does this cost, for the first 2 years, it's roughly $1 million, and for the third year, it's $1 million. So overall, for the 3-year period, it would be $2 million more than we are currently paying. That's for everyone, the bargaining units and the non-bargaining units and the library. So, is there a motion, or are there any questions about this?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Smythe, seconded by Ammons. Any discussion?
Just one question.
Yes.
We received a copy of the new agreement in our packet, and then there's a copy here on the desk, and I'm wondering if there's some differences between the two?
I didn't get one on my desk. Is there? It would be the same thing, right? It hasn't been changed.
There's no
since,
changes in that.
No, it hasn't been changed since what was sent out to you.
The one on the desk, I'm not sure about. It looks like, to me, it looked like larger print. I don't know if, is that from the clerk's office?
The only difference is the one that you received in your packet was strikeouts through it.
Oh,
And
this is the
one
final
is
version.
is the clean copy, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Madigan.
So, $1 million a year each year? There's no,
No, for the first 2 years. We have to pay 2 years worth in this fiscal year. So for we don't have the final things, but I think these numbers are pretty close. The first year for everybody would be $290,000. The second year would be $633,000. That's sort of like a cumulative. And then the final year would be $1 million. So altogether, it's $2 million extra over 2 years, or
Okay.
3 years rather. So the question is, where would we get the money? The way we do these things, it's usually a combination of reduced spending in certain areas and increased revenues. I don't think anybody wants to raise the property tax, but we may have some new properties coming online, so that would be more money. But we're going to pay $90,000 less for our health insurance. That's just one part of it. So we're still working on that, but from what we've done so far, we think that we can do this year, and the one to be concerned about would be next year. But we'll figure it out.
okay, so I'm just trying to be clear on this. Since this is retroactive to fiscal year, the beginning of fiscal year, July of
1.
2013,
Right.
so fiscal year 13-14,
Mm-hmm.
and then this year. We're paying retroactive, so it's roughly $1 million cost.
During this fiscal year
For this.
to catch up for 2 years.
Mhm. And then the $1 million is because it's compounded on top of the raises
Right,
from the past 2 years.
right.
Okay.
But it's also different rates. The agreement was to have 1.5% for the first year, 1.75 for the second year, and 2.75 for the third year.
Right. So that's why the
Yeah, so it's
escalation in the
compounding
third
and
year.
also different raises.
A higher rate in the
percentage.
third year, right.
Right.
Okay, so is it your position then that you're going to try to cut spending first before,
It'll be a combination of the two. We'll bring it to you for you to consider. It would have to be a budget amendment. But, well, cutting
Mhm.
spending wouldn't have to be a budget amendment, but if we're going to do anything different that's drastically different, it would be a budget
yeah,
amendment.
cutting spending could
Yeah.
merely be withholding
Right, right.
expenditures?
Not spending as much as we budgeted,
Sure.
which is what's going to happen on the health insurance. We got a 3% reduction,
Okay.
and we're spending $3 million a year.
Is it, in your opinion, if a combination of cutting spending and raising revenues through tax increases and fee increases does not meet what we need to do here, are you willing to reduce the force?
I think we would, but we're talking about natural revenue growth rather than new revenue added on.
Okay.
So we've been doing pretty well on the sales tax, but you never know what's going to happen in a future year. It's always a guess. And if some things don't turn out the way you anticipated, you might have to make changes during the year.
I understand that. So I'm just making sure that that is something that's on the table, because that's what
It could be.
businesses have to deal with every day, and raising prices, or in this case, taxes and fees, isn't always the most prudent thing to do. So I just wanted to make sure that that was an option, and people also need to understand this is one bargaining unit, so this is $1 million a year in the third year of the contract.
This is for all.
That's
This
for
is for
all.
everybody. This is assuming that what we're doing for AFSCME would be done for everybody.
So your $1 million.
Is everybody.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because within this whole context, and this is a direct criticism of this process, we have had precious little fiscal data about what this would do. It's been back of the envelope the entire time. And that is a direct criticism of our attorneys and anybody else who's involved in that. I think it's a shame that there was not more upfront fiscal data as we went through this process. It was just not the way
think-
it should be.
I think that we have looked at individual things, but there are uncertainties with how much money is going to come in. So when we started this process, we didn't know what the sales tax was going to be
Okay.
for this year. But we also have a problem in that we didn't have our books that straightened out. It took a really long time to do that. And we have a new finance director coming on at the end of this month, so I think you'll get financial data quicker than we have. I mean, normally we would have it pretty quickly. And we do track things like sales tax, so we know where we are on that. So
Well, I'm
you
not
don't know what the state's going to do legislatively. So there's a lot of unknowns out there. But I agree with you that we have not had as much financial data as timely as we would have liked.
Yeah, and I totally understand the difficulties with not having a finance officer, or at least having one leave in the middle of the process and that type of thing. And I'm not talking about projections of sales tax revenue and those types of things. What I'm talking about is having a projection of what this will cost the city, because we do know how many employees we have. We do know their seniority. We do know what this should do in terms of impact. And these are numbers that I'm hearing literally for the first time tonight. Although we had some kind of rough numbers in executive session, but they were very rough, and there was no follow-up, from staff or anyone else after that. So that's all I'm saying is, and I know I'm being critical here, but I just think that it would be prudent of us to have that kind of information prior to having to cast a vote on something like this, to be able to give it a little more thorough consideration.
Okay. Anyone else? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Ammons?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Ms. Marlin?
Yes.
Mr. Smythe?
Yes.
That motion carries. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.